Yo, what's the vibe, guys? And thank you for 1100 subscribers. 1100 people have watched some of my videos and have decided to press subscribe. And I would like to thank all 1100 of you for that. This video is going to be, as the title suggests, my view on what it means to be Rastafarian, what it means to be a part of the Rastafari culture, what it means to be a Rasta, what it means to be a Ras. What does Rastafarianism mean? Well, first things first, I'd like to say Rastafari to me is not a religion. I believe you can be Rastafari and still be of whatever religion, whether that be if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, it doesn't matter. You can be those things while being Rasta. And I'll go into why I think that way based on what I think Rasta is. I think Rasta is a livity. A livity is a way of life. It's like more like a cultural thing. So I believe Rasta would be more equivalent to something like veganism, which veganism is the idea of trying to limit animal suffering to the minimum as possible, meaning you stop eating meat and you stop wearing flesh things like leather and cotton and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be. So Rastafari is a livity, it's a way of life. So the next thing I'll get into is what are the things I believe Rastas believe in. What is the way of life of a Rasta? Well, the first and probably the most important thing I believe it means to be a Rasta is your connection with nature. I believe your connection with nature and your empathy toward nature, plants and animals is of utmost importance when it comes to being Rasta. I believe there's many things that come with being Rasta. By having respect for animals, I believe therefore you have to be vegan in order to be Rasta. Now, this is a bit controversial, but one could also make the argument to say that they don't have any empathy toward killing fish. And if that is your genuine belief within yourself, then eating fish is therefore not against Rasta in this way. So you don't necessarily have to be vegan to be Rasta, but there is some level of meat I mean you must cut out in order to be. I don't believe if it's an animal you can't go to and literally rip its guts open with your bare hands, clean it, cook it and eat it without feeling any type of way, then I don't believe you can eat that animal and still be Rasta. I believe one of the most important things along with being empathetic toward nature is being empathetic with people, but also being empathetic toward yourself and taking care of your body, your mind, your physical body and your mental mind. And what do I mean by that? I mean, just like with your eating habits and trying to make sure what you consume is important, exercise becomes important, but not just cutting out certain meats. It also means cutting out certain things that are unhealthy. So I believe in eating ital, which is the idea of not adding salt to your meals. Obviously, meals that come with the salt is a different situation, but you cannot add salt. And I also believe to be truly ital, you can't add sugar either. So these two things are things I believe in you need to do to be Rasta. You cannot add salt or sugar, and that is how you eat ital. One big thing all of this is going to need is discipline, and so therefore a big part of being Rasta is about being disciplined, and that would mean it doesn't mean you can't drink and it doesn't mean you can't smoke, but what it means is if you're not disciplined with these things, then you need to cut it out. Therefore, you have Rastas who drink, and you have Rastas who smoke, and you have Rastas who don't drink, and you have Rastas who don't smoke. I believe you can, if you drink in moderation, then you can be Rasta. If you smoke in moderation, you can be Rasta. However, once you overuse these things, you're no longer being Rasta, because you're no longer taking care of your physical body and in some ways your mental body when it comes to smoking weed as well. I also believe that when you do smoke or when you do drink or even outside of these things, I do believe in ceremonial celebrations. So I believe in the celebration of birthdays, and I believe in the celebration of new beginnings, and I believe that things are meant to be celebrated. Let's put it that way. And that doesn't necessarily mean in a party-like way. That doesn't necessarily mean in a loud way. It just means there needs to be an emphasis placed on the fact in whatever way it needs to be done. And the last thing when it comes to Rasta that I believe in would be, you must believe in the corruption of the system. You must believe in the fact that there are so much problems in the world because it's corrupt from the top down. And this could mean you want to step out of the system, step out of society and do what you want to do. It could mean you want to fight the system, whatever it means, but the belief must be there that the system is corrupt. So those are what I believe you need to encompass to be Rasta. There are 3 types of Rasta. Outside of what I believe, there are generally 3 types of Rasta. And this is just something you can Google. This is just facts now. There are 3 types of Rasta. The Bobo Shanti Rastas, the Nyabingi Rastas, and the Rastas of the 12 tribes. The Bobo Shanti Rastas, most of them believe in cutting out certain meats. Like all of the Rastas will believe in cutting out pork as a specific meat. That is something no Rasta eats. They will all believe in Africa as the homeland. Some may believe in going there. Some may believe in visiting. Some may believe in going to live. Some may believe it's the homeland and you don't need to visit, but just understand that it's the homeland. All of these are fine with being Rasta in my opinion. However, the Bobos I know believe in full repatriation, meaning going back to live. That is something the Bobo Shantis believe in. The Nyabingis believe in repatriation as well, but more so as something you need to be able to visit and experience and put your feet to the ground there, whether you have to go back to whatever you're going back to. The 12 tribes are the most liberal set. The 12 tribes generally just believe in cutting out pork and having the belief that Africa is the homeland. They don't really believe in other things outside of that. The 12 tribes are separated into the 12 months. I know my month is April, which is the tribe of Reuben. I think my color is silver. Don't know what it all means. I'm not a part of the 12 tribe Rastas, so I'm not really fully adept in explaining exactly what they believe. I've already explained my belief systems, and I'm just going into what the other belief systems may entail in terms of what it means to be Rasta. The Bubbles believe in the bubble dread tight style dreadlocks, meaning free-form dreadlocks. Nyabingis believe in it as well. The 12 tribes, not so much. You can have more kempt hair, you can have interlocked hair. Also, the Nyabingis also don't necessarily believe you need to be free-form. You just need to have locks, generally speaking. But I believe the 12 tribes would accept even faux locks and bald-headed people as long as you hold the other beliefs. Yeah, the Bubbles also, they don't believe in cooking with oil. They also eat ital. They don't believe in adding salt to their meals, but they also don't believe in using oil or pork or beef. The Bubbles also don't believe in smoking in public. They believe smoking is separated to just ceremonial practice, so you don't smoke for reincarnation purposes. The Bubbles believe that. The Nyabingis and the 12 tribes will smoke for recreational purposes as well, but the Bubbles believe it's only ceremonial, which in some ways I believe that's how it should be used as well. In fact, that is the way I believe it should be used. To be honest with myself, I don't believe it should be used recreationally. I believe it should be used more ceremonially, meaning there could be some recreation to ceremony. So if it's a situation of you're at a bachelor's party with your friend and it's a societal thing, there are just ways and means in where I can see the idea of you having a drink or having a smoke acceptable as long as it's done in moderation. That being said, that is just my belief of what it means to be Rasta. The latter part of this video, I've said thanks for the subscribers and I've spoken about Rasta. It's going to be about changes to the RasLunacy channel, and by now we're 10 minutes in, and if you clicked off by now, I would not be upset. But the last part of this video is going to speak about what my channel has been about and what I'm going to take it to, the direction I'm going to take it toward. So generally speaking, my channel has been about Rasta, but and self-improvement, things like staying away from porn and monk mode, etc., etc. However, I placed a big emphasis, or rather the YouTube algorithm placed a big emphasis on my weed videos, my videos that including marijuana. So if you were to check my most popular videos, you'd see the ones relating to cannabis are the ones that get the most views. And because of that, I felt forced within myself to continue making cannabis content. But the reality of the situation is that is not what my channel was made for in the purpose, in the first place. If you listen to any of my intros, you will hear that this channel is about my spiritual journey, my Rasta journey. And as I said within just now, with what it means for me to be Rasta, discipline is a big part of it. And it's not that I'm against marijuana, and it's not that I'm against drinking, but these things do not benefit me in my current lifestyle, and I cannot discipline them. I cannot use them. I use them in excess, and therefore it is not in a disciplined way, and therefore it is not Rasta to do it that way. There's also some speech patterns that Rastas use. Instead of saying you, I would say I, and instead of saying me, I would say I. So I would say something along the lines of, instead of let me and you go to the market, I would say let I and you go to the market. But that's something for another. Back to the topic at hand, which is the direction of my channel. So I'm going to be moving away from a lot of smoking content, and this channel is going to be based a lot around a lot more motivational content and exercise content and diet content as well. And as you can clearly see, these are things more related to what Rasta actually is about, because Rasta is actually not about smoking. As you can see, smoking is actually one of the smallest segments of Rasta. And as much as most people think Rasta and they automatically think smoking, the reality is most true Rastas don't smoke because they don't believe in the cannabis that's produced today. They believe it's overexposed to GMO things. They believe it's no longer just grown for many uses and aspects, medical reasons. It's just being used to feel vibes and energy. And vibes is one thing that can be good in some circumstances, but when you continuously just use this thing for vibes, then at no point do you allow your own natural system to be able to produce its own vibes. And by vibes, you can literally replace that word with dopamine, and it becomes, the whole thing I've just said suddenly becomes scientific and real and with actual research and evidence. But that being said, this has been RasLunacy. I don't think there's going to be any edits to this video. I don't think there's going to be any cuts. So if you made it this far, I want you to comment, I am Rasta. I am Rasta. If you can comment that at the end of this video, I would have known you watched right till the end. And if you like my content, you can subscribe. And if you like my content, you can like. And if you like me as a person and you'd like to follow along my journey, you may subscribe. My next content is going to be related to monk mode and dopamine detoxes, so you can look out for that. That's been RasLunacy, signing out.